We did it, everybody. At this point, with just a couple of days left in the regular season, I'm officially prepared to step out onto that aircraft carrier and declare victory. Major League Baseball made it through the entire 2020 season without COVID-19 completely destroying everything. Mission accomplished. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the 2020 playoffs. I'll tell you all the reasons you should be feeling good if you're a Dodger fan, and I'm also going to break down all the things that should make you very, very worried. It's time, folks. Let's do this. Alright everybody, the playoffs are here. Dodgers have won the NL West for an 8th consecutive year. They've clinched the best record in the league, and they're just generally playing really well right now. Is this the year that they're finally going to win it all? Let's discuss. First off, in case you didn't know, let's go over the ways that this year's playoffs are going to be different from years past. Because of the shortened season caused by the pandemic, they decided to dramatically expand the playoffs. There's going to be 16 teams making it instead of the usual 10. Now, to accommodate the extra teams, they've added a wild card round to the playoffs. Next week, the top 4 teams in each league will be hosting a very short best-of-3 series in their home parks. After that, the remaining teams are going to play out the rest of the playoffs in bubble situations in Southern California and Texas. Another hugely important change for this year is the fact that when a playoff series begins, there's not going to be any off days within that series. This makes sense because teams are not going to be traveling, they're in a bubble situation, so there's no need for off days to accommodate travel, but it's definitely going to impact strategy. In the first round, it's going to be a best-of-3 series, which means teams are going to be playing 3 games in 3 days, and this is going to continue throughout the playoffs. The next round will be a best-of-5 series, which means that if it goes the distance, teams are going to have to play 5 games in 5 days. And then in the League Championship Series, it's a best-of-7 format, so you might see teams playing 7 games in 7 days. It's going to be insane. Some of these changes are definitely bad news for the Dodgers, or really for any great team. I mean, when you think about it, the expanded playoffs is really only good for the mediocre teams that are making the playoffs that wouldn't have otherwise. And then once they get into the playoffs, anything can happen. They're not going to have any pressure on them. They're not going to have anything to lose. This was always the case in the playoffs, but it's even more so this year. When you look at that first round series being just a best-of-3, if you're the Dodgers, all you need to do is get unlucky and face a really tough pitcher in Game 1, and then let's say you blow a save in Game 2, that's all she wrote. It's over before you even got started. When you look at the teams that the Dodgers might face in the first round, none of them are very good, but when I look at those teams, I see reasons why they might be able to beat LA in a short series. You talk about the Reds, they've got 3 great starting pitchers, including UCLA stud Trevor Bauer. You look at the Marlins, Sixto Sanchez is a stud in the making. I wouldn't want to face him. You look at the Phillies, they've got Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. Plus then you got to deal with Bryce Harper and his absolutely breathtaking hair. And then what about the Giants? Our oldest and biggest rival? I know they would love a chance to knock the Dodgers out of the playoffs. And you know what? I think they could probably do it. Remember back a few years ago when the Giants were winning all their championships? They got a reputation as having even year magic. They won in 2010, 2012, and 2014. Well, the last time I checked, 2020 is an even year. There was also another lesser known theory going around at that time that involved Taylor Swift. That theory said that the Giants would win championships in any even year in which Taylor Swift released an album. And that explained why they didn't win in 2016 and 2018, because Taylor Swift didn't release records during those years. Well, guess what? You know what happened a few months ago during the middle of quarantine? Taylor Swift released another album. It's 2020, that's an even year, there's a new Taylor Swift album. This is very bad news for the Dodgers and very good news for the Giants. Do not question the power of Taylor Swift. Hey guys, this is Sam with an important message from the future. I recorded this video on Saturday night before the playoffs field had been finalized, and I didn't think it was going to be a big deal, but as it turns out, the Giants lost 3 of their last 4 games and missed the playoffs completely, which kind of sucks for me since I did that whole Taylor Swift bit. Dodgers are actually going to be playing against the Milwaukee Brewers in the first round, and I didn't even mention them in my original video, so I thought I should address that here. As far as the Brewers go, this should be a pretty big mismatch on paper because they backed into the playoffs with a losing record. But as I told you before, anything can happen in a short series, and you probably remember the Brewers played the Dodgers pretty tough in the playoffs just a couple of years ago. So we're going to have to just see what happens. All right, let's go back to Saturday night. Oh, one more thing. Sam, if you can hear my voice, do not bet on the Rams tomorrow. Save yourself some heartache. Okay, now let's talk about some reasons why you should be optimistic if you're a Dodger fan. Reason number one, the Dodgers are loaded with stars. You look at Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager, Clayton Kershaw. You have to feel good about the Dodgers' chances when you just look at the number of All-Stars and MVPs that they have on this roster. The second reason why I think you should be optimistic if you're a Dodger fan, these Dodgers are deep. It's not just the frontline superstars that make this team so great, it's the secondary players too. Your 3, 4, and 5 starting pitchers, your hitters that hit in the 7, 8, and 9 holes. You're looking at guys like Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May. You're looking at hitters like Chris Taylor and Will Smith. I think this is going to be a huge advantage for the Dodgers this year, especially once you get past that first best-of-3 series. The teams that are deeper and have more options are going to be in much better position for the division series and especially the league championship series. The third reason why I think you should be optimistic if you're a Dodger fan, these Dodgers are battle-tested. They've got a ton of playoff experience. These guys have been in the playoffs every year for each of the last 7 seasons, and they're going to benefit from all of their experiences, positive and negative. Alright, so I guess the Dodgers are going to win it all, right? Well, not so fast. As any true Dodger fan will tell you, there's always a way for this team to break your heart in the playoffs. Let's take a look at some of the things we should be worried about. The Dodgers have a couple of key injuries to be worried about right now. First off, Walker Buehler is dealing with a blister injury that sidelined him for most of September. This is definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on because I don't see the Dodgers winning a championship without a healthy Walker Buehler. And you don't have to tell Dodger fans about how big of a deal a blister injury can be because we know all about that. Also, Justin Turner is dealing with a hamstring injury right now. Although this year we can use him at DH, so we don't need him to be 100% healthy to be able to keep that bat in the lineup, but I sure would feel a whole lot better if the hamstring would just heal up real quick. Another reason to be concerned, Kenley Jansen has been really wobbly lately. He was one of the bright spots of the first half of the season, but he's had a couple of horrible outings in September. Most notably, he blew a game against the Astros a few weeks ago where he came in and gave up 5 runs. There's really no way to know which Kenley we're going to get in the playoffs, but if he comes in and blows a game, especially in that first best-of-3 series, it could be backbreaking. The last thing Dodger fans might be worried about is, what if Clayton Kershaw's postseason struggles continue this year? Now, personally, I'm not worried about this, but I knew I had to put this on the list, otherwise someone was going to yell at me in the comments. Now, you know that I believe that the narrative of Clayton Kershaw as a postseason choke artist is completely overblown, but if you're a Dodger fan, you do have to worry about him blowing a game here or there. He's only human. But I don't think it's going to happen. I've got faith in number 22. As long as Dave Roberts doesn't put him in bad positions, I think he's going to be just fine. Roberts, if you're listening, please don't pitch Kershaw out of the bullpen. Don't leave him in the game too long. And please don't ask him to start on short rest. But I just don't see it happening this year. This team is too deep and too well balanced. I think Kershaw is going to be able to just pitch every 5th day, give us 6 or 7 solid innings, and I think everybody's going to be happy. At least I hope. Okay, now it's time for my big prediction. I think they're going to do it, guys. I think this is the year. The Dodgers are finally going to win the championship. I'm going to predict the Dodgers over the Yankees in the World Series, and it's going to be crazy. And you know what? I think it's going to be kind of weird. It's going to be bittersweet. I can see it now. I can picture the Dodgers, the last team celebrating on the field, and it's going to be happening in Arlington, Texas. Thousands of miles away from Dodger Stadium, thousands of miles away from all of their diehard fans. It's just going to be so weird, man. But hey, that's 2020 for you. What are you going to do? Alright, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. As always, if you enjoyed that, please consider giving me a like or subscribe or a comment down below. I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how these playoffs are going to unfold. Until next time, talk to you later.